So I was going through the last section of this book, the Asanas. And I did find a couple more asanas that are not too bad, which I'll show you from lesson 34. So the first one is the one-legged prayer pose. So again, standing up. Basically just one leg. You lift up one leg and you put it inside your thigh, right? Just like that.
It should be your right leg or your...
Well, you're going to do both legs, right?
Okay, you do... Yeah, exactly. Start with...
Yeah, so start with one.
Okay.
And then hands in prayer position. And you can try the other side. That's disappointing. So it's not bad. Again, develops concentration, right? So the other one I'll show you too is called the balancing pose. So this one I'll flip my leg. So this one's kind of like you start off in a push-up position, right? Just like that. Okay. And again, it's strengthening exercise, strengthening and balance exercise basically, right? This is the starting pose. And then you go on your side and support yourself on one hand only, right? So it's like that. On the other side. Go back in the push-up pose. And now you try just keeping this position. You put one hand behind your back, like that. And back down. And the other hand. And back to push-up pose. And I do one leg at a time too. So lift one leg up and hold it. Okay, and down the other leg. And then down. Come down on your knees. And usually I do the moon pose after this one, so just relax. Do a few deep breaths. Okay. So that's a nice little workout, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll leave this book for now. Switch over to this one. Actually, we're late today, eh? We started late.
Yeah.
So we'll have to go a little bit late. That's okay. Right?
Yeah. 4 minutes.
Okay. It's okay for you to stay a little bit late?
I'll have to run if I stay too late. But
Okay. Shouldn't be too bad, I don't think. Well, we'll see how long it takes. Actually, lengthy practice today. So actually, first thing, I just wanted to give a little bit of a heads up regarding the next course after this one. This is the last class of the advanced practices, and then probably in 2011 I'll have an export class for the Kundalini Kriyas. So if you look at this book, we kind of jumped around this book quite a bit. But if you look at the contents, there's actually 4 sections, right? The first section is called Kundalini, which we skipped, but I'll be going over that section in the expert class, right? The next section is the chakras. So the chakras, we went through that whole section. We'll be doing the last section today, Sahasrara and Samadhi. We'll cover that today, and the chakra section will be finished. Kundalini yoga practice. So again, we've gone through all of the chakra practices. We'll do the last, chakra practice today, and then there's only the Kundalini Kriyas that are left, right? And the final section is the Kundalini research, some scientific investigation, and you can just read that on your own if you're interested. So Sahasrara and Samadhi. Right? Sahasrara is at the top of the head, right? And it's first thing it says is that it's not a chakra, right? The chakras are switches, right? And Sahasrara, and in fact all of the all of spirituality or whatever, all of the potential of yoga is in fact in Sahasrara. So what happens with the chakras, when you awaken the chakras, it's basically just turning on a switch, and that allows a certain part of your brain to awaken, and a certain part of Sahasrara will awaken as well, right? So as you activate all the switches on all the different chakras, Sahasrara continues to awaken up more and more and more, right? And different parts of your brain awaken as well, until finally Ajna is the last switch, and when that one is awakened, then Sahasrara awakens as well. So he gives a good explanation of the whole thing here. Right? Total
Is it
union.
during one session,
Mm-hmm.
or in general as you learn about chakras that you awaken certain areas of Sahasrara?
Yeah, that's right.
It's not during one exercise, one session.
No, you have to do, you awaken all the chakras, and generally, as you do all the practices, you awaken all the parts of your brain.
And it stays awakened.
And all this Sahasrara. Well, no, it goes up and down, right? If you stop doing the practices, you start, going back to drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, and other things. You'll very quickly go back down, right? So, So anyways, so the next section is total union and the enfolding of enlightenment. So there's basically 2 energies I talk about in Tantra, Shiva and Shakti, right? So Shiva is like, another name they give for Sahasrara, for the higher consciousness. And Shakti is another name for the Kundalini energy, right, that resides in Muladhara. Right? Sahasrara is said to be the abode of higher consciousness of Shiva, right? Union between Shiva and Shakti marks the beginning of a great experience, right? So again, you raise the Kundalini from Muladhara, you raise it up to Sushumna, and eventually through all the chakras and to Sahasrara, and you create the union of the 2, right? In fact, that's what yoga means, is union, in fact, right? Which is the whole purpose of everything we're doing. And then when this union takes place, the moment of self-realization or samadhi begins, right? So, and that's basically it.
What is samadhi? Samadhi is meditation.
No, that's enlightenment actually, right? In here, right? It's Kundalini awakening, it's enlightenment, it's self-realization, it's the final goal, it's the ultimate achievement, right? You're at the end of the road there.
Then we call that stage is called samadhi.
Yes. Well,
Is
again,
it a fixed pose of the person has to sit for samadhi? Yeah, the
No,
person
no.
is moving around and he's still in samadhi.
Yeah, it's an experience, it's just an experience.
It's an experience, samadhi is an
Yeah.
experience, okay.
Yeah, it can happen anytime, it can be in anywhere, right? So.
My perception was the samadhi is like people have sitting in a pose and they're in a samadhi mode. That means they show Lord Buddha sitting under a tree,
right.
and they call he's in samadhi.
That's right. So again, when we do the Kundalini Kriyas, right? So the phases, right, is you withdraw your senses, you turn your mind inward, right? You achieve a deep concentration, right? After concentration it becomes meditation, and after meditation it becomes samadhi. So you're basically sitting in the same Sadhana, meditative posture, and you're going through these phases, right? So your body is still, it's not moving, and eventually, so you will be in a meditative posture generally when you achieve samadhi, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you achieve it only for the length of the time that you follow the exercise.
Well, again, I don't really, everyone says something different, right? So, I mean, and everything is changing too. I mean, everyone's talking about big changes coming in the whole spiritual reality, in fact, right, with 2012. So I'll have to see, like this will be a whole new process, actually. What people are saying, actually, is that when you achieve, self-realization or Kundalini awakening, in 2012, it's going to cause a DNA mutation to happen in your body as well. Right? So you're no longer be a regular carbon-based human being anymore. You're actually going to change to a different biology completely. So anyways, we'll have to see if that happens, but yeah, so nobody knows right now what's going to happen or what samadhi is going to be, what the experience is going to be like now, these days, right? But that's the end goal. Everybody says that is the final state, right? He talks a little bit about Raja Yoga, and he also talks about samadhi, right? So samadhi, the concept of samadhi was introduced by Raja Yoga, and that was only about 2,600 years ago, right? Before that, it was only Tantra was all there was before that, right? And Tantra is strictly about Kundalini awakening, right? There was no concept of samadhi, right? And what happened though with Tantra about 2,600 years ago is that, people were doing Tantric practices and, they were not doing it properly. They were awakening spiritual powers and they were abusing their spiritual powers, and basically Tantra got a very bad name in India, right? People look at them as, crazy people, right? So what Patanjali did is he said, okay, well, yoga is very important, it's gotten kind of disrupted here and destroyed, right? Let's like reinvent it, right? So it's kind of a new marketing ploy, in fact, right? And then Raja Yoga was born, Samadhi was born, and a whole bunch of new concepts were born saying, and the yamas and niyamas and all these things were put into place to say, no, yoga is very wholesome and very it's all about truthfulness, and no, there's no sex, it's all about celibacy as opposed to, tantric sex and those type of things, right? It's very pure and civilized and for ordinary people to, follow, right? So.
Yeah. And I think Buddha was born around the same time.
That's right, exactly. Buddha was around the same time as well, right?
Yeah.
So, and he was also creating havoc in the whole religious, stuff, right? So Patanjali came up with a bunch of different levels of samadhi. Basically, he tried to coordinate, the chakra awakening, the different levels of chakra awakening, Kundalini rising, right? Gives you different spiritual experiences. So he invented a whole bunch of different types of samadhi. Savikalpa samadhi, Vittakaraka samadhi, Vichara samadhi, Ananda samadhi. There's like a whole different levels of samadhi to correspond essentially to, the rising of the Kundalini, right? Just to kind of like get it away from Tantra and try to get rid of that bad stigmatism that Tantra had, right? But basically, when I read all the Raja Yoga stuff, I started off with Raja Yoga, but it really doesn't make any sense, because it's trying to hide the truth. The truth is the chakras, in fact, right? There's no talk of chakras in Kundalini, and when you practice yoga, you will actually awaken, no matter what you're doing, you will awaken the chakras, and then you'll ask somebody, what is this thing that I'm experiencing, right? What is this energy in my spine? And there's nothing about that in Raja Yoga, So it's actually kind of, again, it was basically a marketing ploy. It's not actually the true yoga. The true yoga is actually Tantra, right? So, anyways, that's my take. And plus, Raja Yoga, like I said, is only 2,600 years old, right? Tantra goes back, 5,000 and beyond, right? So, so there's not much else to say. Again, the last thing he says, he says even himself, as far as I can understand, Kundalini awakening and Samadhi are the same thing. It was just a marketing ploy essentially to try to get people back interested in yoga again when they said the Tantra is insane, they're not going to go near that stuff, right? So, so the final practices. Well, any questions about that? Asana, Samadhi, no? So there are no specific practices for Sahasra, right? Sahasra basically is just the result of awakening the chakras, right? So the final practice is actually about, is the practices for integrated chakra awareness. So, so one of the key things we do here, right, or how you can get into trouble, like again, what happened with Tantra back in 2600, BC, or 2,600 years ago, I should say. People spend too much time meditating on like a single chakra, right? If you spend too much time meditating on a single chakra, you will awaken the spiritual powers associated with that chakra, right? And then, if you ever achieved enlightenment, there's a great temptation to want to show off those powers to other people, to use it for like selfish purposes, or just to misuse those powers in general, right? Like if you can read minds, you'll like read minds when you shouldn't be reading minds and things like that, right? And you get up in a whole bunch of bad situations, right? So that's what happened with Tantra back then, right? And it fell into disrepute. But what this book does, and what Kriya Yoga is all about, is that you awaken all the chakras simultaneously, right? So you never spend too much time on any single chakra, but you continually move from chakra to chakra to chakra. You keep awakening all of them simultaneously. And when they all awaken simultaneously, what happens is that the Kundalini goes up pretty much in one go, all the way up. Sahasrara awakens, you achieve samadhi, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. It all happens, and you awaken all of the spiritual powers. It all happens simultaneously. So you don't have to worry about, being distracted by, spiritual powers and things like that. Well, during your practice, right? It all comes together at the very end, So there's a lot of practices. I'll go through them all. There's 7 practices given. Some of them you'll do like at other times of the day even, right? But anyways, I'll go through them one by one, and I'll give you my explanation for each one. The first one is chakra meditation. And basically the idea is here to meditate for just a couple minutes on each of the chakras in turn, right? So you start off with Ajna Chakra. Well, first of all, you sit in, your meditative posture, Shavasana. Right? So, okay, assume your meditative posture, whatever is comfortable. All right. Again, you want to keep your body still, back straight, still. You can use whatever hand mudra you've chosen, right? We've talked about that already. Eyes closed, right? And then you start off with Ajna Chakra, right? So Ajna Chakra is at the top of the spine, where the pineal gland is in the center of your head, right? Just behind the eyebrow center, just behind that, in the center of your head. So you try to concentrate on that point, right? So as you concentrate on it, you'll start to feel a sensation there. Again, it just takes practice, takes time. And what he says is you mentally repeat Om. Right? So just at that point, right? So while you're concentrating there, you mentally repeat Om. So it says, repeat like 21 times Om. So then it says you switch to Aswini Mudra. Remember the anal contracting the muscles of the anus. So again, it's just because there's a connection between the two, right? So when you start contracting those muscles, it'll cause a pulsation in Ajna Chakra as well to happen.
It's not the Muladhara Chakra. It's another.
Yeah, no. Well, they're all kind of connected, right? Like actually Muladhara is connected to Ajna. They're all like, related. Ashwini Mudra, like again, there's various things, right? That you can do for each of the chakras. Ashwini Mudra is one of them, the one he recommends for this particular practice, right? Again, he gave in the Ajna Chakra practice, Shambhavi Mudra, right? Trataka, Anulom Pranayama, all of these ones will awaken Brahmudya. And because Brahmudya is connected as well to Ajna Chakra, that will also cause an awakening. So there's various pathways by which you can awaken Ajna Chakra. So in this case, he's giving Ashwini Mudra, right, for awakening it. So again, you practice that for a few minutes, and again, you just concentrate back on ajna. All right. So the whole practice will take about maybe 3 or 4 minutes you spend on it, right? And then you move to the next chakra, which is Muladhara. So Muladhara again is connected with the nose tip, right? So again, first you start off just concentrate on Muladhara. Again, do a count of 21. A slow count of 21, you concentrate on Muladhara, see if you can find it right at the perineum, or the cervix in women. And then after your count of 21, open your eyes and do Nasikagra Drishti, which is gazing at the nose tip, right? So then, so again, you can use your finger to bring your eyes to your nose tip. And again, after some time, if you practice that for a few minutes, you'll see the link, the connection between the nose tip and Muladhara chakra, right? So again, do that for about 3 minutes, it says. And then you do to Swadhisthana, right? And again, similar type of thing. So Swadhisthana is in the tailbone, right? So concentrate on the tailbone, for a count of 21. Right. So, and then you use Vajroli Mudra or Sajjala Mudra. So this is the urinary contraction, right? So you do the urinary contraction for this one. And again, you just do that for a few minutes. And you'll discover that that also causes Vishuddhi to awaken. Then you just move up to Manipura.
When you do contraction, you do it in waves.
That's right. Yeah. So you contract and hold, or release, and you contract and hold again, release. So, we did like 10-second contractions before. You can do like 2-second contractions. As you wish. Again, this is a very long practice. If you do spend by the time you add up all the chakras, you spend like.
Synchronize with your pulse this time. From what part, I think it was synchronized with.
Yeah, no, you do the concentration. You just concentrate, like you do your count. So if you're feeling the pulse there, you count. 1 pulse, 2 pulse, 3 pulse, whatever, however fast it's going, up to 21 pulses, and then you do Vajroli, Sajjala, according to that practice. So that one again, you probably would do it as described. Just hold for 10 seconds. In fact, release for 10 seconds, and hold for 10 seconds again. So the next one's Manipura. So Manipura, the practice he gives for that is deep inhale, and you imagine the energy is moving from here to the navel, and from Muladhara up to the navel when you inhale. And then you hold it, and you hold the energy at the navel, and then you exhale, right? Retain the breath there, and then you concentrate on the navel, right? Release. And again, do that for like 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll do that for like a couple of breaths. you take your awareness to the spine. So opposite the navel on the spine is where Manipura Chakra actually is. And then you concentrate there, again for the count of 21, try to find the pulse at that point. Okay. And you move up to Anahata now. So again, basically just move your awareness up from Manipura straight up to Anahata, and then begin counting, do a count of 21 pulsations at that point. And from there you move to the front, Shestra on the front, and you do the heart space expands, right? So you inhale and you feel that the heart space expands. And you just breathe and expand. You just concentrate and expand this area as you breathe when you inhale. Right? So again, you just do that for like about 2 or 3 minutes. We'll do it for like a few seconds. Now you go up to Vishuddhi, right? So, and it says here to repeat Vishuddhi. Repeat 3 times Vishuddhi, then count 21 pulsations at the back of the neck. Okay, so that's all of the chakras. And the final practice is awareness of the individual chakras in Sushumna. So, you move the awareness within Sushumna passage and touch each chakra mentally with a small imaginary flower. Okay, so you go from Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Vishuddhi, Ajna, and in fact from Ajna back down the spine. Vishuddhi, Nata. So go up and down like 4 or 5 times. You may just try that. Okay, and that is and you end the practice with chanting Om 3 times. So that'll take you about 20 to 30 minutes to do that actually, if you spend like a good 2 or 3 minutes at each chakra. He says like actually 3 or 4 minutes in fact, but it's a lengthy practice. Actually it took us in fact a long time to do it and just go through it. The next one is musical chakra meditation. So, this one is really only for people who are like musically inclined. It's kind of interesting that everyone's familiar with like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? The musical scale. So each of those notes actually corresponds to each of the chakras as well, right? Do is Muladhara, Re is Swadhisthana, Mi Manipura, Fa Anahata. So it should be La Ajna, Ti Bindu, and Do Sahasra. Same thing in Sanskrit, Sa Re Ga Ma Pa, right? So again, if you're musically inclined, right? You can give that one a go, but I'll skip it for our practice, just because there's so many practices to go through. The next one is Chaturanga Pranayama, and actually I find this book in fact has a little bit better explanation of it. In this book they give it in lesson 36. Chaturtha Pranayama, the fourth pranayama. Basically it's for achieving the fourth state of mind, the meditative state, the transcendental state, right? From waking, sleeping, dreaming, and then the meditative state. So the way that practice works, there's 5 stages to it. Again, it's a lengthy practice, and you should spend about 2-3 minutes in each stage. So again, it's going to be about another 15-20 minute practice, right? Overall. The first stage, again, it's just breathing in. Right, so you spend just a couple of minutes, do about 20 breaths, inhale, exhale. Then the second one, you synchronize the breath with Om. So mentally, you hear the O sound during inhalation, and then the M sound during exhalation. Right. So just mentally synchronize that, and then you focus on Brahmudya for the third phase. So you concentrate on Brahmudya, and now you synchronize Om and the breathing with concentration on Brahmudya. Right, so when you breathe in with Om and exhale with right? So you can try that for like a few seconds. Right? The fourth step. So when you inhale, now you feel the sound moving down the spine, right? So you do O, you mentally hear O, and the sound is moving down the spine through all the chakras. And it says include Sahasra this time. So from Sahasra, Ajna, Vishuddhi, all the way down to Muladhara, right? Feel O. I mentally think O. and moving downwards. That is moving downwards through your spine when you inhale. And then when you exhale, the sound appears to turn from Muladhara upwards, up to Sahasrara, right? So you can try that. And then the final step is to go back to Brahmadya. And once again, it says here at this point you kind of forget about the breath, but still it should still be synchronized, even though you're not thinking about the breath as much with inhalation, O, and exhalation. But again, the breath should be very subtle at that point. I mean, if you've done the whole 15 minutes of practice, the breath becomes very, very subtle. So again, about 3 minutes on each of the stages, right? So the whole thing would take about 15 minutes to do. So the next practice is Yoga Nidra, Chakra Yoga Nidra. So Yoga Nidra is done in the Shavasana pose, usually lying down. And every time I've practiced it, what I find it's, for me, it doesn't seem to be as conducive as Siddhasana for awakening the chakras and awakening Kundalini. But so what this book does is actually it gives it as a Yoga Nidra. It gives it kind of as an alternative practice to doing the Kundalini Kriyas. The Kundalini Kriyas are done in Siddhasana, right? You are expected to basically sit for like 1 to 2 hours in Siddhasana, while you do the 20 Kundalini Kriyas. So for many people that may not be possible, right? So what this book suggests, if that's not possible for you, then Yoga Nidra is a very good backup practice, which you can do from the lying down, from Shavasana posture, right? So again, it's another very lengthy practice, and I'm not going to go through it now, because I'm going to assume that we're going to be doing it sitting posture, right? We're going to be doing the Kundalini Kriyas, right? But if for any reason, if you can't do the Kundalini Kriyas, you can't sit in Siddhasana for 1 or 2 hours, that's necessary, then definitely, read what's given in here for Yoga Nidra, as it's a very good practice.
And there is effect. Both the positions are effective. The same.
Well, again, my experience, but I practice Yoga Nidra, it doesn't seem as effective to me. But it seems to be effective for, let's say, having an out-of-body experience. And maybe there's other spiritual experiences you can have. I'm sure there are, and I'm sure it's very good practice. I haven't spent much time practicing Yoga Nidra. Most of my time has been spent, in Siddhasana, meditating like in sitting posture. So I can't really, comment very much on what the effect is. But what little I have practiced, it seems to be more inducive of having like an out-of-body experience, from my experience. And I've also read in other books too. Many people use Yoga Nidra for inducing out-of-body experiences. So, if you're interested in that, you can give it a try. Whereas when I sit like this, I don't have that sensation. I don't have the same sensation at all. From here, I have much more feel, the energy traveling in my spine. As again, what all the practices will make you do is make the energy go in your spine, right? For Kundalini awakening. That's all Yoga Nidra. Yes. 5th practice, Umani Mudra. So Umani Mudra is used in a lot of the Kundalini Kriyas. And again, you're just moving the awareness in the spine. So it means means no mind, thoughtlessness, right? So it's the state of thoughtlessness. Okay, so same in Siddhasana. So again, the idea here is you want to be able to keep your eyes open, develop the ability to have your eyes open, but have your mind still inside your body, right? So your eyes are open, but your concentration is inside your spine. So as you exhale, imagine the breath going down the spine. So passing through the chakras, this time it says from Ajna down to Muladhara. And then as the awareness goes, you slowly close your eyes, right? So you have your eyes open, you inhale with your eyes open. You keep your concentration, it says Ajna here. But the Kundalini Kriyas, you actually have your awareness, you start with Bindu in fact, right? Go Bindu, Ajna, and then all the way down, right? So again, but you can practice with Ajna here because that's what it says.
Does it, like, all these are, if you don't do this way, you do it the other way, is it like, or they have to be done, all are complementary?
Well, so this is just to give you some initial practice for Mani Mudra, right? And they probably figure it's easier to just do it from Ajna, down, because you have probably developed sensations more readily that way.
No, by keeping your eyes closed and doing this.
Oh, eyes open and eyes closed?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's right. So
what's the benefit? Like, if you keep the eyes closed, like, why do they want eyes to be open and then do
That's right. So again, this is to remove your awareness. Like with the eyes open now, it's more difficult to keep your concentration inside, right? So again, try to increase your ability to concentrate inside, right? So have your awareness, your concentration is in the spine. You actually have no awareness of what your eyes are processing, right? You should have no awareness of that because your entire concentration is in your spine, right? So that's the idea. So you start off with your eyes open, and again, as your concentration goes down your spine, right, from Ajna all the way down, your eyes will gradually close. Your eyelids, right? Right? And then when you inhale again, so inhale again. And then as your awareness goes down your spine, kind of the eyelids kind of move with the awareness, I guess you could say, right? So when your awareness is down to halfway down, your eyes are halfway closed, and when your awareness is all the way down, your eyes are fully closed, right? And again, so the thing is, you're not supposed to be thinking about your eyelids either. You're kind of trying to let it happen naturally. So what I find is, it doesn't happen naturally. Like whenever you're doing Kundalini Kriyas, for example, the first, 3 or 4 Kundalini Kriyas, you're like, you're still like have awareness of your eyelids. But eventually, by the time you get to the 4th, 5th, 6th Kundalini Kriya, you've actually forgotten about your eyelids. It's happening automatically, because you've been doing so many rounds of it, you're just doing it again and again and again and again. Eventually, it becomes automatic, right? And you forget about it, right? So you have to get to that stage where it kind of just becomes automatic, and you forget about it, right? But initially, you're going to have to think about it, right? So you inhale, and then you exhale, and let your eyes close slowly as your awareness moves down your spine, right? And you inhale, open your eyes again, inhale. And then exhale and close your eyes slowly as your awareness goes down your spine. Right? So you can practice that for about 5 minutes. You have to go? Okay, that's fine. Still got one more practice for you to go through. Bij Mantra Sanchala. So that one is the seed mantra. Right? Bij Mantra means the seed mantra. And each chakra has a seed mantra. So for Muladhara, that's Vam. Swadhisthana, Vam.
Seed means initial, or instead of the full mantra, or what's seed mantra? How is it used versus regular mantra?
Yeah. Well, they each have a different effect, right? So like, a fully bloomed mantra, let's say, has a different effect than like a seed mudra. A seed mudra is kind of like everything is collapsed, everything is like not expanded yet, everything is like in its pre-birth stage, right? So you kind of like use the different mantras for the different to bring up the have an awakening basically, right? To go from the seed, you awaken the seed, and the seed grows into the the flower with all the petals are bloom now, and that mantra will just continue to help it flower and bloom the full mantra, let's say, right? Again, everyone, it's just all like, your own
Surya
kind of...
Namaskara, they do differently. They go from full mantra to seed mantra.
Yeah.
In Surya Namaskara.
Yeah.
At least that's what I saw on the web.
Yeah. Again, what this book teaches though is to actually combine the two, right? You do the seed mantra and then the full mantra afterwards, right? So Om Ha Mitraya Namah. So you do Om Ha, the seed mantra first, then Mitraya Namah, the full mantra, then you do Om Kriya Yoga Namah, Om Surya Namah, so on, right? So, I mean, they all have a positive effect. I think it's like, you just, you pick a way of practicing, right? And you just go with that, right? So, I mean, everyone has their own methods. So, again, I'm following what's given in these books, basically, right? So, and it seems to have good effect, right? So, the seed mantras for the chakras, I say Muladhara, Lam, Swadhisthana Vam, Manipura Ram, and Arahata Yam, Vishuddhi Ham, and then Ajna is Om and Bindu is Om. So what you do in this one, so now there's two, so we've been going through the spine, right? There's a cyclic spine, Sushumna in the spine, right? And actually, Sushumna goes from Ajna, well, I'm not sure, from Ajna, for sure, from Ajna down to Muladhara, right? Sushumna. But there's another passage they talk about too called in the spine. It's over here. Yeah. Avarohan.
Thanks very much.
Okay. See ya. Arohan and Avarohan, right? So Arohan goes from Muladhara up the front of the body, right, through the Shastrams, right? So Vishuddhi Shastram, Manipura Shastram, Anahata Shastram, right? Vishuddhi Shastram. And from Vishuddhi it goes straight back to Bindu, right? Again, that's what I practice. I mean, there's another technique given here, but basically just from Vishuddhi, imagine a pathway from Vishuddhi straight to Bindu at the top of the back of the head. Right, that's Arohan. And Avarohan is the other passage from Bindu down to Muladhara. Right? So it goes from Bindu to Ajna and down the chakras out the back. So Vishuddhi, Anahata, Manipura, Swadhisthana, and Muladhara, right? So the Kundalini Kriyas actually keep going up. You go up Arohan, down Arohan, right? You keep circling it around, right? So this practice kind of introduces you to that, right? And basically what it says to do is you repeat each of the seed mantras at each of the chakras, so Lam, and you move your concentration up, Ram, right? Ram, Yam, Yam, Ham, right? And then Om. Actually, does it say to stop at that? I don't think so. And then it should be Ham, and then you go straight to Bindu, Om, and then back to Ajna, Am, Om, and then and then back down, Yam, Ram, Vam, and Lam. Right? So you can give that a try. So you just go up the front. Start from Muladhara. Right? Then go up. Vishuddhi, straight to Bindu, Bindu back to Ajna, and then back down. So we'll just do that, try that a few times. again, you would do like 9 cycles, right? So, you know, maybe like 4 or 5 minutes it'll take to do that, depending on how quickly you go.
Should be going slowly,
Well,
or it
you
depends
can,
upon how you.
again, depends on how much time you have, right? You can go slowly if you have time. You know, like do like, 9 minutes, you want to spend like some time with each chakra. And then, right?
Is it more effective to do more cycles, or is it more effective to do
Yeah,
slowly?
no, and slowly was
Yeah,
more
exactly.
effective, right?
That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking, that
Yeah.
instead of 9 times, just do 2 times, but do it consider on each of the chakras.
Well, no, you should do it 9 times. It's important to do it 9 times,
Yeah.
actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, 9 times is important, but the speed you can vary. It'll be
Oh,
more
yeah.
effective if you do it slower 9 times, but you can do it quickly 9 times.
Well,
as
9 times is more important.
Yeah, 9 times is important. Yeah. That's right. That's right. So it says actually you can spend 5 minutes at each chakra with the mantra, right? Right. So you can do you can actually chant the mantra out loud if you want. Lam, and then you concentrate there and you stay there, and then you hold your concentration there for 5 minutes and go to the next one, right? If you have lots of time.
Yeah. That's,
And then do 9 rounds of that, right? So the final practice he gives is drawing with the chakras. So again, if you're artistically inclined, you like to draw, this could be something good for you as well. Again, drawing, anything artistic actually helps to awaken the chakras, whether it's music, whether it's drawing. It actually says you can actually make sculptures of the chakras if you want, right? To actually make 3-dimensional sculptures of the chakras, right? So it's another way that can help them awaken.
and you are just visualizing that you are making the sculpture.
No. You
Oh,
actually make it. Get like plasticine or whatever, stuff, and actually make them. Or get a piece of paper and get inks and pens and actually draw them, right?
Oh, that means that instead of 5 minutes, it will take an hour.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so you don't do this in the morning practice. This is not part of it. This is you do in the
This is
afternoon,
later,
in the evening, whatever, right? Whenever you have time, right? It's all explained here. I won't go through it, but again, if you're artistically inclined, it's another way to awaken the chakras, right? And that's it for the integrated chakra practices, and that's it for the advanced course as well. So actually, I wanted to spend, since I don't expect to do the expert course until 2011. I know there are people who are downloading it regularly, so they may want to start the Kundalini Kriyas right away. So for those people, I'm going to give a little quick introduction to the Kundalini Kriyas as well. Right. So again, this book, the final section of this book, it gives really beautiful, detailed descriptions of all the Kriyas and all the practices, right? However, there are discrepancies between what's given here. There are discrepancies between what's given here and what's given in this book, right? So in those instances, I tend to find that what's given in here is better, actually, right? Again, there's just a few minor discrepancies, but generally I would go with what's in this book. But again, this book is lacking in many details. It gives a very brief, quick description of what the Kriya is, but you're not clear what exactly am I supposed to be doing. But if you read this one, it tells you exactly, lots of detail, what you're supposed to be doing, right? So it's very clear if you read this book. Right, so read both of them, basically, right? The other key thing I'd tell you is that this one gives like number of rounds that you're supposed to do. So I said like 9 rounds for Bij, Santra, Mantra, Sanchula, right? This one gives you 2 sets of rounds. It gives you the full set of rounds. So this book, I think, only gives you the full set of rounds, right? And it is very tough to try to do the full set of rounds. I mean, I've tried it, and it is very challenging. But what this book does, it gives you a reduced set of rounds. And that's not too bad. That's actually quite doable, right? So instead of doing like, say, the fifth Kriya Shabda Sanchula, he said 59 rounds is the full. But he says, well, just do 11 is good enough, right? For your first attempt at it. So I find 11 is not bad. 11 is very doable. There's nothing more than 11 rounds. 11 is very doable. So I'd say first thing you should do is try to get all 20 Kundalini Kriyas done with the reduced set of rounds, right? So just do 11, 9, 5, 11, 11, 6, 6, 1 to 3 minutes, exactly what's given here, right, for all 20. And once you're able to go, and that'll still take you, even that'll take you like at least an hour, maybe 2 hours, right, depending on how fast you do it. So even that is very challenging. But only if you're able to do all 20 Kundalini Kriyas at the reduced set of rounds given here, on a regular basis. Should you only then really should you attempt to do the full set of rounds, right? Which will take for sure 2 to 3 hours, right?
You have to be on vacation.
That's right. You almost have to be on vacation to do it, right? Yeah. So the other thing too is that there's not much it's almost entirely done in Siddhasana. You have to sit like this for the entire length of time, and basically to do that 7 days a week, I think is well, again, if you're not getting any spiritual experience, right? Definitely do it 7 days a week to get the spiritual experience. You have to really commit, be disciplined to get the spiritual experience, right? The thing is, once you have the spiritual experience, that itself can be kind of overwhelming, right? So once you have the spiritual experience, then usually I take a break, right? Usually I will take a break. I'll do go back to maybe half an hour practice a day, or 15 minutes of practice a day. I'll go back to doing asanas or whatever, right? And then once I've kind of stabilized, you feel very disoriented actually, depending on how powerful the experience is. You can be quite disoriented, in fact, from it. So definitely take a break. Don't keep pressing forward. I mean, listen to your body. Listen to what your body is telling you, or what your psyche is telling you, what your inner guidance is telling you. That to take a break, right? So definitely do that. You can also end up in a healing crisis, right? You can end up like flu-type symptoms. You can end up quite sick or quite ill, whatever, as the cleansing process becomes very rapid, right? Too rapid than what you can handle, in fact. So definitely take it easy if you feel you need to take it easy, right? Listen to what your body is telling you, essentially. And I guess that's about it, right? So the other thing I do too is that, at least once a month, I will spend just one day, I'll do 1 hour, and I'll go through all of the asanas, right? I'll just do one day and I'll just do asanas only, right? Because otherwise I find is that if you do this only, you will begin to lose your flexibility, you'll lose your strength actually if you're not doing any other physical activities, right? So I find maybe once a week or once a month, just take one day and just do asanas, right? So, so I think that's about it.
That's good.
Otherwise, we should be good to go for the Kundalini Kriyas as well, right? Okay, well, till 2011 then. Thanks a lot.
A lot of time.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, it's good.
It's good? Okay. So we're done the course, the advanced course.
Everybody's getting a certificate.
Yeah.